1745. You know, he found stuff going all the way back to 1745.
Oh, the date 1745. Can I just go? So, Andy, no word of a lie. 2 seconds before you came on, the boss came through with mine as well.
Yeah. Well, what she was wondering is why you drink wee tea, and I said it's not, because that's what you said the last time. I'm just going to make myself a wee tea.
A wee tea.
I said it's not a tea made of wee, it's a small one.
It's just having a small cup of tea.
Just a small one. They don't drink wee tea up in Scotland. Don't worry. Because, you know, the haggis thing. We're
not that barbaric north of the border.
Exactly. Why not have a cup of wee tea with your haggis, you know, to wash it down? I don't.
I'm actually wearing tartan trousers. I actually have tartan, like jammies on. You can't see below, so you're all right.
Oh, really? No, I'm in the relaxed zone. I'm not. I didn't even put my makeup on for you, Alan, today. I'm sorry.
You still look beautiful. Man.
You have been busy. You've been at the loch. You've been. Your team is assembled. You got everything's there. So update us. Tell us what's going on.
So we're still going every month. I think we've only missed. I want to say it's April. I'm sure we've only missed one, and I think that was due to me. It was myself, and I can't remember what the reason was, but we never went up in April. I'm sure it was April, but since then, again, like I say, it's been pretty consistent. We've been going every month, and we're getting more support, which is phenomenal. Of certainly the kind of the big names. You know, Adrian Shine came on board with us, which was
that. Yeah.
Oh man, like for me personally, that was a huge thing, like massive. I didn't think even Simon came with me as well. Simon Doss, good mate of mine, skeptic, but he's
I know who Simon is.
Oh, he's a great guy. He's been up.
I've seen some of his posts. Yeah,
he actually got a house up there, which is really good. But he lives down south. He's been brilliant. The first time I actually met Simon, we didn't do any observation at all. We literally walked round the loch, just chatting away about the different sightings, the theories and stuff like that. And it was a great day. It was genuinely good. So we didn't really do our job when we were there. But building that relationship with Simon, it's been an absolute pleasure. So having him kind of on board as well is really good. And he kind of keeps me level-headed about certain things.
Sure. And I'm sure you had like a sneaky eye on the loch while you were walking about, little glances.
Yeah.
You're in there because that's when Nessie is most active, when you're distracted, right?
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. But funny you said that though, because when we were doing the hydrophone testing, you should have seen his face, bless him. He got really excited when it must have been a salmon or a pike, whatever it was. It was a large fish, and it broke the surface just on the floating jetty at Foyers. Yeah. But he got really excited about it, but it was just cool. But there's that kind of 5-second window where you're thinking, "Oh, was that? Could it have been? What was that?"
Could be.
But no, it was a fish. I'm getting derailed. Sorry, but yeah, it's been really good. The last couple of months has been fantastic. Great help again from Dick Rayner. He's the one who very kindly sent us down the hydrophone, and he's offered more, which is even better. But I kind of feel bad accepting it. I know it's there for an offer, and that's great and all, but I've always kind of been that person like, I really want it, but I don't want to.
I think that's a British thing in a sense. I feel guilty when I'm getting my pay packet. It's kind of, like I'm taking something from them. Not like I just slog my head off for 50 hours that week, or that month or whatever. I'm just like, if that's fine, thank you so much, that would be great. If it's not too inconvenient to you to pay your dues.
Yeah. It's weird, isn't it? It's a
British thing. Just uncomfortable with money, really, or gifts of any kind, any sort of.
No, thank you.
I think it's because we feel beholden in some way. When somebody helps you, you feel, oh, what am I going to have to pay for this? Not consciously, subconsciously, there's something of a grabby takiness, which we're opposed to. I'm opposed to it.
But it's like birthdays or anything like that. I cannot stand being the centre of attention. I really don't like it. Again, that's why there's barely any pictures of me from. Or I really don't like doing it. It's not the best looking person on the planet, but I just don't like being centre of attention, even during birthdays or Christmas. If you got round, so that's my dog. Kylo. Who's that?
Oh, he's a cute guy.
Yeah, wee bugger. He's a wee shite, but I love him. But yeah, like when it came to you, like if you're having family time at Christmas and like, right, it's your turn to open your presents. I was like, no, I'll do it later. It's fine.
Oh no, really?
Yeah, I hated it. So it's very similar. So, but Dick's been a huge support, and so is Adrian as well. Roland again, he's been fantastic. But it's really nice. It's kind of cool seeing other people from. If you scratch that, you're out. Sorry. He's already. You're cute as hell.
Oh, there's his face now. Out of the blur, he's emerged. There he is.
Who's that? That's Kylo. Sorry, Andy.
That's all right. Hey, Kylo.
Can't remember what's in there. What was I saying?
You were talking about Dick and Roland. So, what was amazing to me about that, actually, seeing you together with, Roland and Adrian, and also having Dick on board. So you've got the believer, you've got the skeptic, and you've got the scientist together. And when I saw that, I thought, oh my gosh, he's got the whole set. And I'm sure you've been down to see Steve as well, the dreamer, right? I say that Steve in the most positive of ways, most complimentary of ways, because he's got to be a believer to spend 27, 28 years doing something.
Of course, absolutely.
And move your life there. I just thought, he's got the whole set. This is it. That means they believe you can do it, or at least you're doing it the right way and in the right spirit, because it's got all of the camps together, and that's a plus. And that's the kind of thing I watch. I'm really into psychology, so I'm like, he's got all the camps together. That means he's gonna get it. He's gonna find her. He's gonna find her.
How good would that be, though? I mean, that would be the dream. But I actually was just having that conversation. His name's Col. I don't know if you see him on Facebook.
Col Vicock.
Yeah.
Great artist.
So, he's fantastic, isn't he? I've actually just shared one of his pictures onto the group. Just he's so really talented. He's a good guy. But yeah, I was explaining it to him as well, just saying it's really good having kind of trying to get everyone on the same page to approach it in the same kind of direction. And I don't know if there's anything original about that. I don't know if it probably has been done before, but it's nice that I've not seen it for a long time, and it's cool that it's. I mean, the ball's rolling. It started rolling months ago, and I didn't think it would get to this where it was so quickly. I thought we were going to be down here years before we got to that stage. So the fact that we were able to kind of achieve that in the first year, which is really good, but we still haven't done the hard work yet, if that makes sense.
You've laid the groundwork. You've got everybody on the same page. And are you in touch with the people on the boat tours as well? I'm not sure if the big one is still running from Fort Augustus, is it, or no?
That's what they called again. That's the one with is it Rory McKenzie? The guy that was on that.
He sold it or he stopped. Something happened.
I think he stopped doing it. I think it was taking a bit of a toll on him. Again, I might be wrong for saying that. I'm not too sure with the facts. But no, I haven't spoken to any of them. I haven't spoken to them at all. But what was really interesting, this is where me and Simon, oh my God, man, we must have looked like a bunch of wee schoolboys really excited. So when having, again, I am going to gloat, okay, and I'm
gloat away, do it.
Having Adrian Shine buy you a cup of coffee is
there you go.
Best in the world, right?
That would definitely make my day.
Oh, it's so good. and sitting there and talking about, the different theories and the scientific approaches and all that kind of stuff that he's done. And that conversation ended with him. I can't talk about it too much because I really
plans. There's upcoming plans. That's okay. Oh, how are you going to hold on to that until it happens?
I can say this is that we are getting a boat, which is really cool.
Oh, great.
And Adrian's going to help us with that, which is astonishing, which is really good. And again, I've offered as much money as I can. If you need it, if you need support in any way, I'll clean your dishes. I'll do anything, But he's been really good. So I'm really excited that the Loch Ness project and Loch Ness exploration coming up next year, which would be really good.
I've got to get up there with you. I've got to get up there. I was hoping to do the December one. I'm not sure because I might not be in the country when it happens, but I'm trying to at least like Jan or something like that. I've got to.
Well, we're there every month, so just
exactly. This
pick
could
a
be one
month,
of
come
them.
and see us.
Yeah, so, but for me, the urgency is, I believe you guys are going to do it. I want to get up there and be there when it happens.
Yeah.
Basically, like piggybacking off it, like Alan's been.
It's all good.
He's there. He's done all the work. He's done the prep. Everything's in place. Get up there, Andy, and piggyback off the
But like that's the way it works.
discovery.
I'm piggybacking off Dick Rayner and Steve, Adrian. It's just a never-ending thing. But I did finally get to meet Steve on the last one there. I got there slightly ahead of schedule, and every time I go there, he's not there because I know he's somewhere else normally at the weekends. Just fine. He's got his own life to live.
Yeah, it's hard, being a tourist attraction 7 days a week.
Yeah,
on the beach there.
Good on him though. Christ almighty.
Yeah.
But what was really cool, as I was walking towards, he came out, and I thought, no way. And again, Steve has been one of my hero even as a kid. So I was like, oh my God, I'm really nervous. I didn't know what to say to him. I could barely look at him, and I've never done that before ever. I got really nervous around him. I don't know why. But he was really polite. He was lovely. He was great. He offered some tips and advice, and we said that we would be team ups hopefully sometime in 2023, which is really cool. But as me and Simon were kind of heading off, we always do this. We've got a weird tradition where we kind of go for a wee walk first.
Okay.
Discuss things, and then we'll go do the work.
That's also when that's the Nessie time when you're going off.
Yeah.
You've dropped your guard. You're summarising the day and then sploosh. This year's. That's the way my mind works. And I'll turn away from the loch and start walking back in, and I'm kind of. I see you there. I see you.
But it is one of these horrible things. It's like, am I doing it? It is literally all by chance. If it's there, if it's not.
Yeah.
It's all by chance. And it's one of these things where, am I doing it wrong by sitting here and just hoping for it to pop up? Do I have to go and put the hard graph for it to pop up? Or do I just sit mind my own business and then I'm going to be seeing? It's complete by chance. But
I think the answer is yes and no to all of them. Like you say, it's absolutely. Chance. It's wasn't I don't know much about Cole the cook, but isn't he a local resident of Drumnadrochid or something? Or
he is. I don't know. I thought you lived down south.
Did I make that up? Or was that somebody else?
Well, look, I thought you were from Finland, remember? So it's all right.
Yeah, so I mean, who knows where Cole is from, right?
He's a nice guy. He's a good guy.
From Helsinki.
Helsinki.
Is that in Finland? I hope it is.
It is, no, you're right.
Yeah, it's Helsinki. Yeah, I think I'd be more on the Sami side personally, with them Laplanders. I don't know. I mean, British people are so mixed up anyway. Mum's family, even though I think there's sort of Arms in Cornwall and England and all that, but their surname's Orm, so that's like a Viking surname originally. It means dragon or serpent, like sea serpent, an Orm or Lindorm. Not Lindorm, but some sort of serpent or dragon. So can we worm as well, which is less, complimentary.
Was there not a film out recently? I say recently. It was something to do with one of the. I think it is called Ragnarok.
Oh,
and it's something to do with a serpent, but it was something to do with that some humans around the lakes in Norway or something like that had its eggs by mistake or something.
Okay.
I may have just made that all up. That may be a dream, but I'm not too sure. But I remember seeing footage of it going, that looks all right. It looks quite interesting.
Yeah, I don't know if this is what that's about, but it reminds me of Lake Storzian, where the monster Storzian was actually protected by law up until 2005, when a scientist asked for permission to collect the eggs of the monster for study purposes. And then they realized they couldn't give permission because they didn't know what the monster was, and therefore the law was sort of nullified.
Oh, right.
His request sort of proved that they couldn't, that the existence was tenuous. So he said, well, we can't give you permission to collect the eggs because we don't know it's there.
Yeah.
Then the question was, well, why is there a protection then? And then it sort of rescinded.
So what was the outcome of that then?
I don't know. I just remembered when I was looking at protections in law in Beasts of Britain, I was just trying to come up with something that could, a silly thing called the Unknown Species Act, and it was supposed to protect either place animals like big cats and other things, or unknown species if they were to be discovered living in the UK, in Britain.
That's interesting.
Yeah, and what actually somebody pointed out to me was, well, actually, something like the Loch Ness monster would already be protected under the Wildlife Act anyway.
There is actually a law, I'm pretty sure, for the Loch Ness monster. You're not allowed to hunt it. If it ever is discovered, you have to kind of hands off. Again, I don't know if that's kind of one of these myths about it or not, or if
something
it's
that was proposed in Parliament, I think, a long time ago. I don't think it went through, actually.
Right.
Apparently, the current Wildlife Act would protect it anyway. So what's the point? And it sort of nullified that last chapter of my book, but I wrote it anyway. And we were going to talk about. You did a post about the 7 rivers that feed into Loch Ness, and one of the things, and not to talk about my book, but just to bring the subject in, was there was a study a friend helped me with, a nice name called Deborah, that showed that most sightings that are not mid-loch were near river villages, Inver villages.
Yeah.
And then I came onto this thing that I'm thinking, aha, that's very similar to many other lake monsters. And of course, there's salmon rounds and eel rounds and all the trout coming down.
That's right.
When they're migrating, but also moving into the deep waters of the loch, and that would be a great place for predators. Predators hang out at river mouths.
Absolutely.
So I wanted to talk to you about, what do you know about the 7 rivers, and are there any ideas for exploring those areas in the near future?
Yeah, absolutely. We've already done one. So everyone, when we're talking about rivers, if you go right back to the start, the Columba sighting, in 565, I think it's 565. That took place in the River Ness and not actually in the loch, as the story goes. So make of that what you will. But you are right that the first river that we looked at, I can never pronounce this. You're gonna laugh at me. It's, oh my god, I'm gonna have to spell it to you, because honestly I'm so bad with my pronunciations of lochs and rivers and whatnot.
Okay.
So it's the river. I don't even note it down. What an idiot! It's where the John McLean, pretty much. John McLean, sorry, the sighting was in 1938.
Okay.
And that's where Roland actually helped me with that one. I went on Roland's blog. He kind of gave me a bit of background about the sighting of it. And we got into a small kind of conversation about it would make sense for a predator, if there is one there, to be hunting around, the rivers that are coming into lochs, the salmon, as you've already said, they're spawning, they're coming up and down, and they'll be there within the thousands, like absolute thousands. And they stay there for a long time before they kind of mature, before they go back out again. So there is still a fair amount of population of fish in there. I don't have the specifics on it, but the river, sorry, I can't pronounce it. I think it's like Alsig or whatever it's called. Alltsigh. That's terrible. I'm Scottish and I can't.
Altai.
That's how I would say it. Yeah.
Well, I would say it in English that way, I guess. Yeah, Altai.
Yeah. But I mean, that's quite small in itself.
Okay, yeah, that's quite. I mean, it's not deep, is it? And it's
not at all. Not at all. I got down there on my first day. It's right next to the Loch Ness hostel.
Okay.
So I kind of parked there and I went down, and you'll see again on the Facebook. There's a great picture of someone's deck chair. He's just left it there.
Oh, really?
And it looks right over. So I used to make a joke saying, "Oh, look, John knew we were coming back in 1938. He's left us a chair for us."
Yeah, take a little seat and be like, somebody's sitting there, mate.
Yeah, that's it. And it was good. It was a beautiful day when we were there. But his sighting really kind of latched on to me, that he described this creature. I'm sure he said it was something between like 20, 30 feet, but the head was only kind of popping out maybe 2 feet out the water.
Okay.
And it had kind of a pale belly.
Okay, yeah.
People have said, well, it might be a seal, it might be an otter. But again, I've never seen a 30-foot otter or a 30-foot seal.
I've yet to see a 30-foot otter or a seal.
And he said that you could see eating, and it developed into one single hump, and then it was 2 humps, and then a tail would come up. And it's a great, great report. It's, again, it might be true, it might not be true, but I love reading them. And it really does kind of put into perspective about what people have seen back then.
Absolutely.
And it's, wow, that's cool. And he wasn't even that far. I think it was like 20 yards from us. And
that's clear.
It's pretty obvious.
20 yards, you can make out real detail.
Of course.
In that kind of, well, I mean, there was this idea before that, some sort of sonar-based, activated cameras, like permanent cameras, at these river mouths facing out. The old thing, with strobe lights and everything as well, but also with sonar to get a sonar reading. On the things that are coming close. And I know Ryan's and everybody else did that, but it's still, in my opinion, the best way to capture something. If it's a creature, it must be eating. Let's just go to where the food is, and
absolutely,
and try and find it there.
That's what kind of we're hoping, because when we do team up with Adrian and stuff like that, with Adrian's side of things, it is going to be a lot more focused on, I think, the natural habitat and the more kind of scientific side of things, which I'm all for. I think it's the whole package, which is great. And I've been very honest with Adrian, and I've told him my position, that I'm not too wild about it, but I still think there's something here worth, looking at.
Yeah.
And we briefly spoke about the putting cameras in the river mouths. I would put one. What river I said it was? Inver Morriston, I think, was one I would pick.
The River Morriston and.
And I would say Foyers as well. If not, I think it's Inver Village, where it's called.
Inver Village?
We're going to on the 10th. Yeah. That's a lot kind of more difficult to get to, but you're absolutely right. It's kind of only been done. Dick Rayner's put a few cameras down in Temple Pier.
Okay.
And he's done a fair bit. And if
that's the easiest place to secure something, really, isn't it?
Well, yeah, I mean, it's really shallow until it kind of drops off.
Yeah.
And I know there's been some cameras down at Steve's End at Doors. But you're right. I don't think anyone's ever put anything down by the river mouths. And I mean, you're absolutely right. That would be that's what we would like to do next year, is to fix that there, or even put.
Would you time it with like the salmon run? And I don't actually know, because it always has like a all year round population of salmon Loch Ness, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does.
So are there particular? And I never looked into this, certain periods when there's a run, or is it just always static?
I think there is a run. Yeah. There obviously will be a main run. And I'm not entirely sure when it is.
Eels too, I'm guessing.
My head, I want to say it was like somewhere from like June to October or something.
Okay.
I could be wrong. I mean, I've just made that up. But there is. I mean, it doesn't matter if it's salmon or not. There's going to be plenty of fish in there. And you're absolutely right. Again, the fish in loch seem to focus either just kind of below the surface. Or they stay close to the shallows, or the loch. You'll rarely find them. And
they hug the walls.
Yeah,
strangely.
It's where you would go, I think, anyway. Even if you're putting a camera. I sent this. You should see my sketches. They're nowhere near as good as Cole's. Okay. But I tried to have all these. This is when I can't sleep at night time. I get all these stupid things through my head, thinking, "Well, that might work." But this is at a time when we had like no funding, and we still don't have any funding. But it was like homemade stuff, and I thought, right, I'll give this a bash. And I had an idea of mooring a float, tying it to a rock, a tree, whatever it is, getting it out to a certain point, anchor it, but so it kind of sit like this, if that makes sense. You'd have a rope in the middle, and what I would put canisters with bait fish and whatever it is, all along there. And a camera, hopefully, that would be looking straight down. It's going to be deep enough, but not deep enough that you can't see anything. And the idea behind it would have been, if that's going to attract fish, would that then attract something bigger? That whole concept, there's always a bigger fish type thing. And if all we ever caught were fish, I'm still happy with that, because at least we know that particular fish would be at that side of the loch, at this side, this
exactly. And
it's everything we can document. So it's not all just about Nessie and whatnot. It's about the chain of it all, and studying that aspect. Would that make a difference? Would it even? Why would we bother doing that? It's the whole process of
setting the scene. You're understanding the environment in which it's meant to exist. And I think that's perfect. Such a deep body of water is hard to understand. And until you just mentioned it, then what type of fish or where, I had just in my mind of a loch with all fish mixed in together at the same levels in the same places, and actually that's probably not as likely as one would think. They're probably segmented and separated by population.
Definitely.
The loch, and it would be interesting to know where the trout are, mainly where the eels are, where the salmon and others are.
Absolutely. I mean, the eels are probably, they are bottom feeders and they're scavengers mainly. So they are normally found at the bottom or the shallow. So I mean, Dick Rayner again. He's got some bizarre footage of seals. I can't remember if me and you spoke about this the last time, where they're
Seals or eels?
Eels. Sorry, beg your
Eels.
pardon. No,
Yeah.
sorry.
Uh-huh.
And it looks like I think they're called. Is it grass? No, I can't remember what they are. But
Glass eels.
they're eels,
Yeah.
and they're vertical in the loch, and it's just really odd behaviour. So I've never asked Dick this if he's ever looked into that further to think what was the cause of that. Why is it doing that? Is that some sort of like survival mechanism when the rover or the camera came near it, just go, but it just. It's bizarre.
I suppose if something was predating on you, and not just Nessie, but other large fish from beneath, to make yourself straight reduces the surface area for an attack, because you're just a point. You're one single point if you're vertical from below. So it definitely seems defensive.
It's bizarre behaviour. It's really bizarre.
I've never heard of that.
I love the river kind of the trail cams. I know Roland's got cams out there, but there's no cameras at the loch underneath at the moment.
Yeah,
and that is something we're definitely want to do.
Definitely something. Or get and for all the rich benefactors out there, we need a submersible drone, please.
Well, actually, again, I wasn't going to talk about this, but I know eventually we are going to have to put it out there and ask. But we were thinking about starting a crowdfunding page, for equipment, things like that, where we wouldn't use that personally. That would go straight to L&E. That would be for our equipment. Excuse me, sorry. And just anything technical that would help us. Boat hire, anything like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
There's a lot out there that we could be doing. And if we got the proper funds and the resources to do that.
Well, I don't see that there's really any problem with that. I think it's because all of the information is shared, and everybody gets to see it every week. And the more the greater ability you have to investigate, the more people will see. And I think that's that can only be a good thing. I would definitely donate to something like that. I think that's a great idea. But some of these submersible drones, just to sort of patrol those rivers. I've got all these crazy ideas of things that are technically possible, and such equipment does exist, but not normally outside of military or search and rescue operations. So I've got these drones with they're seeking out. They've got sonar seeking out movement, and they're zooming in automatically on large objects. And I thought, well, yeah, you're not gonna really get hold of something like that. I remember seeing that James Cameron thing where he built that sub, that sort of standing sub, what it looked like, and went to the bottom of the Mariana Trench.
It's incredible, isn't it?
What a waste of money and energy. You could have been at the bottom of Loch Ness in like 10 minutes.
Even
10. 3.5.
How many hours did he stay down there for?
Oh, he was down for, I think it's about an hour, 2 hours, something. I don't know.
Hold it at all. But
it was a great documentary. But all the way through, this sort of rage is building up to me. You just want to see. It's just going to be dark down there. Nothing.
You're
going
to see. Loch Ness will be the same, but you've got more chances of seeing something in Loch Ness than you would in the Mariana Trench.
Absolutely. You could be down there in 3 minutes flat in that thing. You're at the bottom, secure, safe, cameras at the ready.
That's it.
James, what were you thinking?
We got to see some of Malcolm Robinson's his submarine footage at his lecture that me and Roland attended. Oh God, I was jealous. Like, they don't do it anymore. No. I think it was the early 90s, 94 perhaps. I might be wrong.
The kind of subs they were in as well. I mean, they were brave. They were really brave.
I tell you who's even braver though was Adrian, me, and again Simon, when he was talking about his homemade pod. I don't know what
I saw that when he went down in.
Like, what the fuck? Like, we were thinking, how did you go up and how did you sing? It was like, oh, we just filled it with water, and I was like, what?
Yeah.
But I started getting claustrophobic when he was talking to me, and I was thinking, oh,
yeah, water was the ballast. Yeah, basically.
It's the Sassenach with bigger balls than me. Unbelievable.
Honestly, yeah, exactly. And I just think he comes from that time where that pre-seatbelt time, where people just didn't think about dying much.
No, he just wanted answers.
And now you just think about dying all the time.
Yeah,
I was putting together like a little.
Loch Ness.
Yeah, exactly. I'm a little bit claustrophobic, so I'm terrified of the sub thing. If the series ever comes off, I know the sub's going to come up at some point. The sub's going to come into it, and I'm just like, what I'm more terrified as a British person is having a freak out at like 8,000 feet below the ocean on camera, and for the whole world to see me wigging out. And have you ever seen the Goonies?
Yes, come on.
When the girl Andy is there, she's freaking out in the tunnels.
Oh, of course, yeah.
Before they find Chester Copperpot.
It's Chester Copperpot. See now, all I'm going to picture you now is seeing you with a wee yellow
my
jacket
little
thing on, with a wee mini
sports
skirt
jacket on and my red hair.
Yeah. And going, oh my God, Brad.
Freaking out that I'm going to end up like Chester Copperpot.
If you can play the piano, I'd be even more impressed.
Well,
because she can play is it the bone things that she plays? Is it Andy?
She wasn't great at the piano, actually.
No. Yeah. I could play chopsticks.
Grade 2 or something. She was. Yeah. I mean, she was all right, Andy. She was a nice girl. She dropped the rich guy. Didn't she?
She was a nice girl, as if
Mikey's older brother.
Andy was alright. Andy was down.
She was alright. She was also good looking. Yeah. As a teenager, I say that, not now as a fully grown middle-aged man.
You can see she's pretty. It's all right.
Yeah.
There's still loads of things that we want to do.
Yeah.
But I love your idea about the cameras.
Yes.
Because it's not far-fetched at all. It's totally doable. But what you need to have is someone that is brave. I'm not doing it, I'm telling you now, is getting the wetsuit on. And it's not happening. I don't care.
You'd have to have a volunteer or hire a proper diver, because actually
it's dangerous.
That's not the work for the inexperienced.
No,
and it's not a case of being brave or not. It's that's just a very dangerous thing for somebody with no experience to do in a loch with no visibility below 10 feet.
You know very well it's going to happen with our team. There's going to be 2 have died at Loch Ness exploration.
Just a couple points.
Yeah,
A and B, you and me, we'll be down there forever. They'll be sending subs down to look at our bones in the future.
Thing is, if I'm pretty sure, I might be wrong again. I'm sure if someone goes missing in a loch, I know they did find a lady recently, but I know a couple of years before that there was a couple of more deaths, I think, but they don't put a search party out because it's so dangerous.
Really?
I might be wrong on it, so I apologise to the family.
Well, they don't search for the body. No,
I'm pretty sure they just won't do it because how the visibility, they can't see anything. It's just too dangerous for them.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I mean, Christ, I wouldn't do that. And any single time that anyone mentions about diving in Loch Ness, my brain goes to Badger, like with what he thought he saw was.
Oh yes, of course. I love that. The big form coming past it. Was that past the dock?
That was at Temple Pier. That was just at Temple
Pier. Yeah.
Just before I think it went kind of into the.
One of my favourite sightings.
It is. It's a cracker.
He touched the skin, right? He touched it.
So no, he never.
The
paper added that. So he
actually did they?
Yeah. He called him out on that. He said it was just cylindrical in shape. I think it was moving from his right to his left, but he never touched it. But he was fairly close to seeing it. So I mean, people will come back and say, "Oh, it's just a log or a floating gas and whatnot, whatever it is." But that guy, fuck that. Like if I saw that thing coming towards me, and if I thought for 2 seconds that that's coming for me, my mask would be off and I would just start inhaling water. I'd be like, no, this is how I'm going. I don't want to be alive when that thing starts. Not that it's ever attacked anybody, but that's where my mind goes.
You'd be up at the top there with the bends, getting the oxygen administered to you. It's just, I made a post recently, and I'm always like, apparently this is such a sort of an older person thing to do now, as well as emojis and things like that and messages. Changing your Facebook profile and sort of putting stuff on your page, even it's a really, as far as Gen Z are concerned, that's a really old person thing to do now. But anyway, I'll always change my profile pic because I'm just bored, so I just put something up there.
You change yours a lot.
I do, but it's just because I'm just thinking, oh,
I notice all the time, thinking, what's he got now? Was it the most recent one? It was really cool, actually. What was it? It was
Oh, Atlas.
Yeah.
Atlas holding up. I like Greek mythology a lot. All history mythology, but yeah. So anyway, I put one up of Peter Vincent from the Fright Night movie. He's there with the cross, and outside is Jerry Dandridge in vampire form peeking through the window, and he looks terrified as he's looking around. And I think my caption was, "Yes, I'm an adventurous explorer, but I'm also shit scared of everything." Because that's it. I want to know, but I'm also terrified of finding out. And because that's real. You know it's real once you get into the situation like the diver did. Even if he'd gone down there with the intention, said I think he was probably working, right? If he'd gone down there with the intention of finding a Loch Ness monster, that moment, that make or break moment when you see the thing, and I felt that in the dark on the edge of the loch. Okay, if this is real, this is pitch black. You can't even see the water.
Yeah.
It can just whip you away and nobody would ever know. You went missing after wandering at night.
That's it, yeah. He went for a late summer stroll at the night time to see the sunset. Yeah. Never saw the sunrise. It's that type of thing. But that must be terrifying. Like, if that account is real, then Jeezy peeps, man. Like,
yeah.
No, thank you. It's another one that I quite fancied. I'm sure it was two. Oh God, what they called again? Poachers.
Okay.
And it was and I'm sure it was at Loch Ness that they were poaching and had a pretty strong net as well. Something with force dragged the net and the guy with it. Wow. He freaked out. He managed to get cut free and whatnot and everything. And I'm sure
he was caught in the net.
Say again?
He was caught in the net.
He was caught in the net as well, yeah.
Oh, classic.
Now, I might be wrong. I don't know if he made contact with it. I'm not too sure. But he did mention something about brushing past where it was. But whatever was there ripped a huge hole in the net. So that'll be on Rollins' blog somewhere. So blog.
Yeah. So
have a look for that account.
I'll look for that. That's some strong imagery right there.
It's like, again, no thanks.
Yeah. But what is this thing? When I'm out there looking for Bigfoot, I really want to find it until I'm out there in the woods by myself. Then I'm like,
absolutely.
I just stop for a few hours and head on home.
Simon always makes fun of me. Like, I genuinely do have a phobia of deep water. If I can see the bottom, not a problem. I'll go in it. But obviously, as you know, everyone knows, it's only yards out in Loch Ness, and that's it, Vienna. The pier where we go to at Foyers is not really that deep. It's probably only about 4 foot, but it's still really dark.
Yeah, it's really dark.
And if it's grey skies, which it was that day, you can't see the bottom of it. So you never got this.
Feel deep water. That's what I think. When you're over deep water, you can feel it.
Oh yeah,
you can feel the depth. It's different. There's a different feeling. There's a pull on you almost, a gravitational pull. It feels like
it's horrible. Like,
apparently, the water in Loch Ness is not as dense either, so it's harder to swim in because it's less buoyant. Apparently, it's something to do with the temperature or some composition of the water. I've only read this. I don't know if it's true.
All year round, it's roughly about 5 or 6 degrees. The whole Celsius or whatever it is, all year round, doesn't change. So that might be some truth in that.
Okay,
I'm not too sure, but it's there's something really eerie about it. There's one pier to this day that I remember running back, which is weird because I read years and years and years ago later that there's a guy that had the exact same feeling as I did.
Really?
It's the pier kind of in between the castle and the centre, like the visitor centre.
Oh, that's the Drummer Droghid pier, isn't it?
No, it's oh God, what's it called? It's at the castle. It's right at the castle. But it's onto the other side of Temple Pier. And there's a jetty there. And I was really young when this happened. And I remember walking out, and it's that, that overwhelming feeling of shit. Like, what is going on here? I may as well be just walking into an abyss.
Yeah.
That's, at a young age, that's what I felt. And I think that's, I told you last time when I fell in the loch as a kid, that scared the shit out of me. But that was...
You fell in as a kid?
Oh, did I not tell you about this?
Oh,
Christ, Andy. I'll never forget it. And this also...
Off a boat or
No, I went. Phew, I was with my mum and dad, and as we were walking out, I was paddling about, blah 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 blah. I was really young, and then I either slipped and I just went woof. So my head and everything went under.
Oh wow.
And me being a wee boy, I thought good night Vienna, Nessie's got me. And I just remember my dad running in. I was like, ah! But I remember screaming, I was like, it's bit me, it's bit me. But I just went under. That was all it was.
Well,
and
you
I
were
was
kind of paddling in the shallows.
yeah. I
You
just
went
went a wee
into
bit too
you
far.
went into the drop off.
Yeah.
Oh gosh, that is dangerous.
Terrifying.
Yeah.
Actually terrifying. So that's where my fear comes from. But I've been swimming in Loch Mora. That doesn't bother me there. It's strange.
Yeah.
Fuck Loch Ness.
But you've swam in Loch Mora because you
did,
can
yeah.
see it. I swear on this podcast, it's fine.
I was there with this week with Kylo and my wife. It was beautiful. It was absolutely gorgeous. Where we were, we weren't that far from the Silver Sands, but it was, oh man, it was spectacular. Crystal clear water. It was warm, which is bizarre.
Really.
And it was just really good. It was nice. It was really.
What do you think about the possibility of an ocean visitor there? Because of course the route is a lot shorter to the ocean, but there is that what do you call it? Hydro sort of.
That's right.
There's a weir and a hydro bit on halfway across. Is there a way around it? I've never. Because one of the major sightings
would have to be one determined beast. Put it that way. It is difficult to maneuver, I would say. Because we were there, like I say, it was just the summer we went up there, and I remember stopping there thinking, "No danger, could something get up here?" Yeah. But then it's one of these things with Nessie. If they exist, are they just always there, or are they coming and going? Yeah. But I always commit. If there is something there, I think it always has been there. Because I mean, look at yourself. I mean, if you look at the River Ness, and someone would see something that size.
Yeah, there have been sightings in the past when the river's been in spate, when there's been flooding. And there was one from the Salvation Army. I don't know the date now. It's Salvation Army. The doorway of the Salvation Army in heavy rain. Mm-hmm. Somebody saw a big neck and, sort of humps come out there just near the bridge. And it was near to the bridge because it was, I think this was in the 60s. Mm-hmm. There was a big flood. And you get a lot of there's sightings in the Moray Firth, and I know, like Roland said, basically, up until it's not Loch Gary. What's the loch at the end?
Loch Oich.
Loch Oich and Loch Gary, I think, would be Loch Oich and Loch Lochy would be joining in Loch Gary too. But then after that, it's shut off. Mm-hmm. So they could come to that point. And there's also sightings from Loch Lean and from the ocean side going up to there as well. But he argued, I believe, Roland, I'm sorry if I'm getting this wrong, that there would be no way over from either side. So the River Ness would have to be the way in and out for those guys.
Yeah.
And here in the west, southwest, it could only go as far as that.
It's either way, someone's going to be limited on either side of it. I mean, even if you remember, even 2 years ago, or 3 now, Christ, when we had that really hot weather, and I'm sure Steve posted pictures of it as well, had the level of the loch dropped quite a fair bit. And the rivers were worse. I mean, they deteriorated to like a trickle. It was really bad. And Glen Etive, I've never seen Glen Etive like that. Like, that's normally... Sorry, it's my phone. It wasn't me.
They really seem to accentuate the... There was a Bill and Ted sort of moment there, but countrified. Yeah.
But it's a strange one. It's a great concept. But is it possible? I don't know. I've still never made my mind up on that. Whether it's if there is something there, is it permanent?
Yeah.
It's stupid wee questions like that. I ask myself.
The whole. I think the whole river in spate thing. That things move in and things move out opportunistically, but it also seems, if a creature is resident, it seems like quite a risky thing to do, to just move out to the sea, because you might never get back in.
Precisely, yeah.
Yeah, and so on and so forth. And we've, of course, Nessie researchers, we've got all of these special get out of jail free card ideas, haven't we?
Absolutely,
it doesn't breathe air, or it doesn't have to breathe air all the time, like the cloacal respiration theory and everything else that comes up. And It only comes in and out when the rivers are in spate, but it's like it's not waiting in the Moray Firth or in Loch Lean for the river to be in spate. Clearly it would have to be something that has a schedule.
I'm even back then, maybe not so much now that we've kind of started LNE, but I know at least a couple of years ago, I can admit this because it's healthy to look back and reflect on things. I would change my narrative on what my theory would be in order to what I think is there, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
It was almost like, right, it doesn't come up, so it must be an amphibian. It has to be that.
Yeah.
But then someone will counteract that with another question. And you get into this knot with each other. And sometimes it can be a really good, healthy debate, but then sometimes, unfortunately, it becomes quite toxic.
Yeah.
And that's not good for anybody. I was contacted recently by an individual who wanted my personal, what I thought it was. And I was very honest. I said, look, I don't know. I've given up on telling people what I think is there because I truly do not know. I believe there's something there, but I do not know what. And I'm not going to put kind of my head on the chopping block, so to say, like, yeah, it's this, boom, boom, boom.
Because once you nail your colours to the mast, you have to stick with it.
Yeah, and again, my hat off to those who are quite confident and I don't want to say stuck in their ways as such, but that's them. Boom, that is their story. That's what they believe, and then fair play to them. If that's what they want to do, then go for it. I'm not here to prove them wrong. I'm not here to prove skeptics that, hey, look, we were right this whole time. It's got nothing to do with that. It's got nothing to do with name calling or going back and forth. It is literally something that everyone is interested in. And everyone should be just working together on it. There's plenty of room for it. And again, it's me and Simon. We are two very different people on the spectrum when it comes to Loch Ness. I believe he's a skeptic, but it works. It genuinely works. And as you said earlier, we've got Dick Rayner, myself, Adrian, even Steve, Roland. It's great having kind of all the heads together. Fair enough, we may not all be in contact at the same time, but we're each aware of what the person's doing, which is quite nice. And Steve was lovely. Like, he was. I said earlier, like, I went into total fanboy mode. I was like, oh my god, Steve Phillip. It was really weird. And then I tell you what was really cool as well, when we were walking off, me and Simon to go do a wee morning walk, he shouted back, and he said that one of the drivers, I'm sure from the tour vans, had said to Steve, "Oh, they're doing the hydrophone test today," and I'm thinking, God, that's cool. So someone knows, what we're doing.
That's really nice.
It was, it was again. It's wee things like that. I'm thinking, this could be good. This is really cool.
It really could be, because think of how many hopeful researchers not only that location has received over the years, but on top of that, those people that are still there, like Shine, like Rayner, like Feltham, have encountered hundreds, thousands of hopefuls they've encountered, and yet they've said, "This guy, we like this guy."
I hope so.
But that's good. That's good. It means that you've got a unifying talent, and maybe not taking a definite position about it. It's hard to. I hate compliments, by the way, but it's not my turn, so you have to deal with it.
I'm like, stop.
Maybe, but maybe that is what allows people to say, yeah, you know what, he's not nailing his colours to the mast. It's just he's motivated. He's genuine about his interest, and so everybody can hop on board with that. Just by the way, about the thing we were talking about, the east and west routes, I just pulled something out from the book here quickly, just to just because it was at that sighting we talked about. Okay, so this was from Ted Holliday's book? Okay, yeah, it was from Great Orme of Loch Ness. So Ted Holliday, right, during August 1965, there was a period of heavy rain lasting for several days. Loch rose and the River Ness was in spate. The salesman, George McGill, had business in the YMCA building, Bank Street, Inverness. 11:45, the rain was so heavy that he stood in the doorway with a friend watching it. Miss Gill wrote, just as we got to the door, I looked across the River Ness. What I saw was a large, thick, rich neck looping out with the water. The height of the neck above the water was about 4 feet 6 inches, and it was about 8 inches in diameter. There was a disturbance where the neck re-entered the water, and another disturbance some distance to the rear. I can't say what it was. It wasn't a fish, unusual, etc. And then another lady, what was she? She was, sorry to be so random with the way, Miss K. MacDonald. She saw it Loch End in Abriachan.
Ooh.
The creature. Yeah, a drab, brownish coloured hump, basically, rising 30 to 40 yards away from her.
So this was during the flood?
This doesn't say it was during the flood, actually. This is just where she saw it. She said it undulated up and down as if by elastic. The neck, I'm guessing. These again, that's Rupert T. Gould, that one, from the Loch Ness Monster and others. I just think, when I was looking at it, from the east, I thought, okay, so there's the River Ness, then there's the Beauty Firth and the Moray Firth, and there's lots of weirs and obstructions along that route. Not as many as the opposite direction, but there still is. It's not a direct route in and out, is it? All the way. And
was there not a story about something being locked in one of the canals?
Yes, a big giant eel or something that they found when they emptied it. Yeah. Yeah, I never could get any details on the story. Just that's it. At one point, the canal had to be emptied, and at the bottom,
big eel.
Yeah, it was a big giant eel. Could have been a conger eel though. Could have moved in.
It'll be absolutely, yeah. But it's funny that you mentioned Loch End, because I'm just pulling up where we're going to be going in December. Is it Alduri? Where is it again? I've lost it already. I think it's Alduri Pier. Again, that leads towards Loch End, where the canal kind of starts again.
Yeah.
River Ness, that kind of stuff. And that's where Greta Finlay had her account.
Yeah.
With her son. I don't know why I did that with her son. Sorry, because they thought they saw.
He's a werewolf.
Her son.
The hairy son.
Sorry. I was thinking that because they say that they saw what they thought were horns on their account. Sorry, that's what I meant.
That's great. I love that. She described it as like dragon-like, right?
Yeah. It was bizarre. Yeah. It's a bizarre one. When we first met the Falkirk boys, we took them there, and they were fascinated by that. Pardon me, that account. They really wanted to know more about it. But there's a few. I mean, the reason we were looking into the rivers, I mean, I was trying to write a couple of them. They all seem to be fairly close. There's another one I really want to talk about as well, was the one at Cherry Island.
Let's talk about that one.
There's one, so that's obviously Cherry Island's the only loch, but it's not the only loch, the only island, but it's an Iron Age fort type thing, or Cronach, I think it is.
Yeah.
So someone, I don't have the actual proper details, but there was one word that always stuck with me, and I wrote it down. That he watched an object swimming dangerously close to Cherry Island, as if it was coming into the bay. And again, that's if you've been to that wee location there, that's quite eerie. I get it. Maybe it's the mind playing tricks on me, but there's something really spooky about that wee bit, wee bay, and there's a wee path that takes you along to the information about Cherry Island. And every time I'm there, and I know Simon was there a couple of months ago, and he was doing some drone footage and everything. That'd be terrifying to see, just something large, dangerously close to him. But what was it like? What's going on there? Because that's not deep water. That's not overly deep water down there at all.
So, how deep are we talking there? Approximately.
I might be wrong. I think it's between maybe 20 feet.
It should still be enough though to hide something, and I think excuse me, that's
big enough in there.
Easy. That's the issue. I always wonder about this when people say, "Oh, there was a sighting," but the water's not very deep there, and if it's deep enough to conceal the creature to swim through, if you've ever seen that, like a shark in 3 foot of water, or every time you see a killer whale plump onto the beach and grab some hapless seal.
Yeah, you don't see it till the last minute.
Yeah, I mean, just
you don't see it.
Creatures can swim in shallow water. And to me, the whole thing is interesting. What we were talking about, by the way, in with the east and west thing again, just to.
Sorry.
No, I was just because I've only just got it up in front of me. From the west way, there's the River Oich, Loch Oich, Log and Loch Lochy, River Lochy, bypassing Neptune's staircase, by the way, going into Loch Eel and emptying into the sea via Loch Lean. Of course, there's lots of stop-offs along the way there as well. Yeah. So I think what Ronan was talking about, I included some version of it in this book was that the beasts of Loch Lean, Loch Leven, and Loch Lochy, they'd all be serpents that entered these lochs from the sea adjoining in Loch Lean, basically.
Getting confused now.
So from the west, southwest.
Right. Okay. Oh no.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right. Okay.
Whereas
so from Fort William side, pretty much.
Yeah, basically.
Right, okay.
So from that side, from the sea. Whereas everything else would have basically had to come in via the River Ness and so Loch Leven. Sorry, then they'd make their way with some minor hurdles onto Loch Leven, Loch Lochy, and Loch Arkaig, right? If they could get that way. But on the other side, everything would have to come in from
the Murray Forth.
Yeah, from the Beauty Forth, and yeah. So I'm not. For anybody listening,
I know.
I didn't know this when I was researching the book when I wrote it. I knew it then, and now I'm reading through my notes and like, did you wrote this? You wrote this?
But the thing is, I'm like you. I have all this information in my head, but see, actually trying to get it out my mouth, it looks like I've got some sort of special. I'm not going to say it out, but I cannot get it out. Like it's there, but I can't get it out. But it's a strange one. Like it's. I do enjoy talking about the debate whether it's come from the sea or if it's something there.
Yeah.
There's always more questions than there is answers with that debate.
Yeah. Because lots of lochs and lakes have monsters that seem to be resident.
Yeah.
In a way, at least in their presence. And I know there's, but there always does seem to be some river, not always, 99.9%, there is some river, shallow or deep outlet to the sea in all of these places.
Yeah.
So, or at least to a larger loch.
Yep.
I think that's an interesting report. We don't really know. It's supposed to be amphibious, how they travel at night, and as you know, the area is pitch black. It's pristine darkness.
Can't see nothing.
Yeah, anything at all. So if there was something that wanted to make its way over short patches of land. In the small hours of the morning, could do that.
It could, if it was determined to do it, then absolutely, it could 100% do it. If it's like, right, I'm going that direction, lads. Cheerio, off you go.
Because you might get out of jail free card again.
when I was up there last, again with Adrian and Simon, I did leave slightly later. And driving around Loch Ness at night time is actually pretty terrifying. And it's even worse going further back down the road to Edinburgh. But even before it became pitch black, I could even see, Chris, you would not know if this thing was 10 feet in front of you, on the water or within the land. There's one place I really want to go to again at night. And I actually posted a video of it recently, was the Urquhart Woods with me and Kylo.
Oh, yeah.
So the first time I went there, that's another place, by the way, I think they should put cameras in. Is it what's that river called again? It's a river. I used to call it River Eric. I know it's not. It's
no, Enric. River Enric.
I think it's that one.
Yeah.
That's just terrible. I've wrote all these notes down with all the river names and the whole lot, and I've probably not pronounced a single one of them correctly. I think that's a really good place to put cameras as well. But there is a fair bit of shallow water before it goes in, and you can see that from Google Earth. You'll see where it just goes, the big the shelf. So it would have to be somewhere along there. And I know Narwhal, they did a couple of night drifts around Urquhart Bay as well at night time, and that incredible experience that David Rayner had, which is Dick Rayner's brother. Have you read his account?
Yeah, the boat was bumped.
Oh, so good.
Yeah.
It's so I had this mental image of David with a spear. Just, what's under there? Kind of old, like, 1940s or 50s monster films with the tentacles, or Jason.
Or like real Doug McClure kind of stuff.
Yeah. Right? He's such a nice guy, David Rayner. He's a lovely guy. I've lost track again. I'm sorry. Urquhart Woods.
Yeah, Urquhart Woods would be a great place to put a camera, because of course there's cover. If the creature comes out, there's cover, and there's that little bank in the woods that's covered by the trees. It can come up and, I suppose, have a foray onto land.
Yeah, just like, I'll be back in 5 minutes, boys. It's one of these things. But I think they should put more cameras around that area.
Yeah.
because the first time I went there, it was really bad. It was like chucking with rain. It was grey. It was miserable. I didn't actually have him with me the first time I went, and the river was actually quite high. I'm probably up to. I say it's high. Probably up to my thighs, like probably waist. And there was only one way across, and it was a fallen down tree. Oh man, what do I do here? So I did something really stupid, and I don't recommend doing it. I walked right through the river. It happened.
No, exactly.
So I got soaking wet, but at the end of it, I was like, yes! I just got over one of my kind of.
Was it strong? Was the flow very strong?
Super strong, yeah. It's really stupid. So I do not highly recommend. Children, don't do that at home.
Yeah.
It's really stupid.
Could have ended up going for a bit of a swim.
Yeah, big time. Like I'll never do that again. Idiotic. But when I got in there, you'll see in the video that I've posted, those wee paths are like bone dry, right? They're absolutely dry. When I was there, when that weather, that was all water. Those
really?
Wee burns and wee rivers and stuff like that.
Wow. It gets really high, the loch then.
It can do. It really does, especially with if it's all coming through the Urquhart Woods.
Yeah.
Rivers that join there actually together. See the amount of silt that gets washed in and all the debris. That actually once caused an avalanche in Urquhart Bay because so much was coming through.
Mudslide,
so comes. No, underneath the water. It just
really?
silt sediment came in. It just pushed it all down, which is quite scary.
No, it is. It definitely is. Yeah.
In that area, again, I was in that kind of environment, and I acknowledge that that's my imagination. But I used to always think, it's like, Christ, this would be a perfect place if it ever did come on land. These wee burns and rivers, a serpent could quite easily maneuver about, things like that. And
absolutely. I mean, when I saw the video, I recognized the area, and I thought, it just got it's got that feeling. Yeah.
I'm not saying that's exactly what happens. Obviously, that's just complete speculation. But that's where my mind goes. It's just like, whoa. But when I arrived at the actual river itself, as it opened up into the loch, I couldn't go near the edge. I was petrified. It was that tea-stained water. And you would not know if something was just 4 feet.
Waiting.
Yeah. So I was like, no, thank you. I'll just stay where I am. That's fine.
It's strange that I think sometimes, of course, in those situations, we can work ourselves up into a bit of a frenzy. But also, I always say, trust your instincts. Trust your instincts.
Yeah.
Caution never hurt anybody. Nobody was ever harmed by caution.
Exactly. Precisely.
And it's those no fear guys, or diving off cliffs with their wingsuits and the like. I'm the opposite of that. I'm more fear.
Yeah.
I think
I need 2 wingsuits. That's what I
mean. 2 wingsuits, a parachute and a hot air balloon. Before we finish, let's talk about the new cameras around the loch.
Right. Okay.
Now, I saw an article that was published on my Nessie and Friends page recently, which I quickly deleted, which said veteran Nessie researcher, and it was one of the new cameras, and we won't mention the name, but we know who it was, and it was one of the new cameras, and I thought, are we just in the same situation as always? They're a little bit closer than they were than the original one was, but we're not really talking about any proximity still. We're still talking about blurry objects at distance times 5. Right.
So my honest opinion, far better quality, correct. Does it show anything different? No. Absolutely not, unfortunately. I try my hardest to be nice. I really do. And I try not to say anything that's going to offend people. But veteran. And then I'm going to bite my tongue. Jesus.
Well, the papers do that sometimes anyway. It doesn't necessarily mean it was self-described, but
the individuals. Words. I know that. But it's just one of these things. I always feel like saying to the papers, I was like, go someone else. Go speak to someone else, please. Someone who's actually been there more than maybe just a couple of times.
It's I don't know if the chap has ever been there. And again,
I don't know.
I think it would be wrong to speak of people negatively if nobody had tried to explain the situation and the behavior had continued after.
Yeah.
I think that's when I was like, well, look, okay, everybody's explained to you what you're looking at now. You just want the attention.
Nothing's changed, mate.
Can't play nice anymore. I'm sorry. That's that. But with the new cameras, I was wondering for a little while, will this eliminate this problem because they'll be a lot closer. And I had a bit of a look at them, and I was like, it's still wonderful to be able to see that, but you'd have to have a really visible out of water sighting. We're talking head, neck, humps, half the body. Big and smile. Even then you'd be like, is that a...
Yeah.
Yeah,
definitely.
Yeah.
But it's just one of these things again, though. It's that thing again that I posted. I was on Google Earth and I found that weird... I don't know if you saw it on the page. It's a really bizarre looking bit of debris. And it is debris. It's whatever. Yeah. It's not live animal. It's a bit of debris.
Yeah, it's like a tree or a log or something.
Camera, that's your 3 humps. You could see that if that was from a distance away, or if it's so long away, it's one solid mass.
Yeah.
The cameras are good, but they're not. You cannot. It's not.
Yeah.
It's so frustrating. Sorry, Andy.
Yeah.
They are great fun to look at, and do you know what?
And that's what it is. It's fun. It's fun.
And I'll give him his dues. He's passionate. He'll watch quite intently. I'm all for that. But you're right. When you have time and time again, when you have both skeptics and believers turning and saying, "What are you doing?
Yeah,
what are you doing?" You need to look from our perspective to say you're actually causing a bit more harm here than you are doing good.
Well, it just it makes it all silly.
Well, of course it does. It's just a bit like, oh, Christ. But that's never been acknowledged once.
Yeah.
So that's why I don't allow any of it at all on the group. I'm not interested in it at all.
No, I think I put a rule in about a year and a half ago, or even longer. Maybe it was longer than that, to say that there are no. That's one of the main rules.
Yeah, it's not happening. It's just not for me. And again, it's such a good concept, though. It's a great idea.
It's a great idea.
It's been, unfortunately, in my opinion, it's been overshadowed by. Someone who's seeking a bit of 15 more minutes of fame rather than actually towards the explanation of what these things could be.
Oh yeah, we're like on a day and a half of fame at the moment, in 15-minute segments.
Yeah. But you know what? I mean, if he ever is listening to these things, best of luck to you, pal. I've got nothing personal against them.
Well, look, watching that intently, if he does see it and he does find it, then we'll all be singing his praises, actually. So I suppose there's that other aspect, is that the effort and the intention is there. The method's not always to my liking, but
he's doing what he loves.
It's a fringe subject. Yeah, it's a fringe subject anyway. I just don't want us to be lowered from the fringe to the hem, further down after that.
But that's what everyone was worried about, though, and I think that's what everyone kind of took that frustration out, is because it was doing so much damage.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And then when all those reports started coming out, you'll see the amount of comments that everyone else was getting, just saying, "Yous are all whack jobs. Yous are all crazy."
Yeah.
And that doesn't help when you report every single shadow.
Yeah, and people see all the fighting and all the bits and pieces that goes on as well. And I've had my own share of that in the past, sort of being embroiled in all these silly disputes. And how did I put it? I was defending the genre with terminal zeal, terminal zeal, and I realized that I didn't have to defend the genre. I only had to express interest in the subject and defend my interest, not the proof or the facts, because you don't have the facts. So
don't ever make an apology for your efforts, because anything we do is coming from our own pocket. No one's asked us to do this. No one is telling us to do this.
They've asked us to stop.
Yeah, exactly.
And plant a vineyard and yield tangible fruit.
Yeah. But we're doing what we love, and I explain to, I do get the odds. They're not rude emails by any means. There's been a couple where I've been questioning and I'm all for that. I'm like, I invite that. That's great. but to actually have a really respectable conversation with an individual, he's actually been really sweet. I won't name him, but he was lovely. He actually was. He recognised what we were trying to do when he kind of got through the rest of the shit.
Yeah.
He recognised what we were about, and it was quite nice to see that change. I've had really good conversations back and forth with this guy.
Okay.
And at first, I was like, "Oh Jesus Christ, here we go."
Yeah.
But no, when we kind of met that middle ground, that kind of mutual respect.
Yeah.
And that's what it's about. If you can see what that person's trying to put across to you, and you acknowledge that, you can sleep a wee bit more easier. I'm thinking, right, okay, cool. I see where he's coming from. I'm not going to dismiss you on that one. And this is why I refuse to say exactly what it is I'm looking for, because I don't know. And that keeps it exciting for me, though. Because if I start saying, it's a 30-foot salamander, that's, you know what I mean? Like, that doesn't sound too exciting. Even though that would be amazing.
Yeah.
It wouldn't excite me as much. So I like not knowing what I'm looking for, if that makes sense. Still haven't found
I think I'd be a bit bored if I found out it was a 30-foot salamander. I'd be like, oh, God.
There's something a lot more exotic out there, I think.
Some slow-moving salamanders.
But it's been the last year with even the feedback, and I still welcome it. It's always nice to hear it from both sides.
Well, it means you're doing the work, though. When people start coming at you, positively or negatively, you're creating that attention, that focus on the subject, good or bad. Yeah. Actually, now when I get lots of comments on things that I post, I don't even care if they're negative anymore. I'm like, well, that means that you're paying attention. That's sort of good.
Yeah, I think it doesn't matter if it's bad or positive or negative feedback. It's you've done something to that individual. Now, whether they disagree with you completely, they'll then go on to speak to someone else about that, and they'll be like, "Oh, I wonder what he's talking about."
Yeah,
that interests someone else.
Yeah,
or it might not. So it's, to me, again, I've always said to individuals who are kind enough to show me the respect, and I always repay that back, that it is literally when nobody is getting hurt with what we're doing.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean? It's like,
exactly. Nothing bad's happening.
Yeah,
nothing bad happens when you go looking for Nessie.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
Adrian Shine and Dick Rayner don't turn up with baseball bats and smash your car up, right?
Exactly.
If you say there's no Loch Ness monster, they're not going to puncture your tires on the way out. You ruined the tourist for that month.
So personally, and they really shouldn't. Yeah. We can all say that it means a lot to us.
This was, I mean, and you talked about Dick Rayner last time. Like the interactions I had with Dick at the beginning, when I was still an individual, as I say, defending the genre with terminal zeal, were quite negative. But they were negative because I was a believer, because I was a zealot. I was a disciple, and now I just think, I read back through after our last conversation. Actually, I thought, he's a very reasonable man that spent 5 decades at the Loch, really thoroughly investigating things and has opinions. That's going to be respected. You don't live there. You haven't spent 50 years there, Andy. That's for sure. You haven't even lived 50 years. So,
he was the original.
Yeah,
he was there. He was boots on the ground. He was doing the hard graft.
At least let him have his skepticism after 50 plus years of looking at the same patch of water every day.
He knows his stuff. Like he is. He's again. I know it. I always big him up, and I've got a right to big him up because he's been a huge support.
Yeah.
And this guy unfortunately has been branded as this, this arch enemy. He's a
arch skeptic.
Yeah, and it's like, fuck off. No, he's just the guy.
You're wrong. I mean, if he's witty and he's smart, and if you're in a conversation, he'll burn you. He'll torture you to the ground.
Big time.
So I think that's perhaps what
the
believers amongst us have objected to in the past, being torched publicly by somebody who really knows what they're talking about. It's a hard thing, but it's also a good lesson.
I used to joke and say, look, Dick Rayner is the Illuminati. That's what I used to say. Dick Rayner was Illuminati.
You used to say that?
No, just to make a joke that he was so cryptic about things. But he's not
like a part of the World Economic Forum or something. With Schwab and all those guys.
But he's actually got a wicked sense of humour as well. But he took the effort to send this stuff to my home address.
Oh, that's wonderful.
And that is
great.
wonderful, man. And I'll sing his praises until the time comes. He's been great to work with.
Nobody's paying anybody to do this, essentially. I mean, not directly. And I think for everybody involved for that reason, and just in the same way I love Roland's work, because yes, he's a believer, but he hits it from a factual, skeptical, evidence-based point of view. So that's very important, because we need believers like that are that thorough.
Yeah.
He's the believer that was meant to be a skeptic in a way. If you think of the way that he works, he's a believer that investigates from that philosophy, and I appreciate that, because I know what I'm reading when he produces something. What I'm reading is going to be thoroughly proofed and investigated and researched. So I'm like, okay, that's great. I can sort of take that to the bank. He's done all his due diligence there. It's the same with Dick and Adrian, especially. I think that's one of those things. And just before we go, we should probably wrap up, but just let everybody know, how can they find the work that you guys are doing? How can they join in if they want to, and how can they support it, especially with all these bits of equipment you've got coming up that you'd like to get, like spaceships and nuclear power submarines and things.
Well, it's funny because I actually got a quick phone call from Brian, who's part of the Falkirk Boys. He phoned me last night, and we were going through looking at underwater drones. I mean, they're really expensive. They are very, very expensive. But these things we are looking into. But anyway, if you want to come and see us, we're at the Loch every month. Every single month we're there. Obviously longer throughout the summer, a wee bit shorter throughout the winter, because obviously the times change. But
it's like 2 hours of light or something.
Yeah, it sucks. I mean, it'd be great to have the whole Loch illuminated, but it's fucking, they're not killing the damn thing. But it was, we're on Facebook at Loch Ness Exploration. We still got a website. We haven't actually launched it yet.
Okay.
We're on YouTube now as well. We've got a YouTube channel, and that's just clips of examples of what is not Loch Ness Monster. So it's about educating other people to say, look, don't go the paper with that. That's not a hump. That's standing wave, or it's whatever it is. It's a nice way of kind of educating people.
Examining people's evidence for them as well, then. That's fantastic.
It's good. It just gives them a wee bit more knowledge before they come to the Loch and say, this is actually what you might be seeing.
Yeah.
But then again, I'm not there. If you see a 30-foot massive, ever, but get it on film, that'd be great.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
And hopefully, I don't know if we're going to launch it this year or if we just wait till 2023. We are going to get a crowdfunding page going up. And that means, ideally, it'd be great to have support from as many people as possible to get a wee kitty going that could help us buy more equipment, so we can get more resources and do these experiments. And as you know, next year we'll be hooking up with Adrian Shine, who runs Loch Ness Project. I'm buzzing for that. I cannot wait. And it's just wee things like that. So it's been I was going to swear again there, sorry. It's been a great first year. And I honestly didn't think I'd be anywhere near where we are, which is a huge thing, not just from you personally, but as the whole group.
The whole team,
Yeah, it's everybody. And someone just says, how many people have you got in your team? And I thought, if you're interested, you're in the team. If you join that page, you're in the team.
Right.
We don't have a number, but Adrian was asking how many people we have, and I said, well, look, we've got like 400 something, wherever it is, but we probably have maybe about 10 people who come up with us quite regularly and whatnot. Maybe not 10, maybe just less than that. But that's
a lot. That's a lot, actually.
It's great. It's really good. Yeah. But the support we're getting on behind the scenes is phenomenal. And I know people are very different socially, or even online, but I'm not going to lie. Like Roland, Dick, Adrian, yourself, Simon, Steve. There's been loads. They've all been so amazing. They've genuinely been so sweet, really supportive, honest, which is the most important thing. And that's great. Like that's really, really great. And for me and myself, that's a huge achievement for me, again, personally, that I feel I can go to these guys and speak openly about what we're doing, what I want to achieve, and what I think and stuff like that, and having them get back to you. It's a huge thing. It really is. And that might not seem a big thing to people who are listening to this, but I grew up seeing these guys on TV and documentaries.
I mean,
like, you can take your celebrities, and these guys are my
anybody watching. Basically, you're there with like Han Solo and Luke Skywalker down at the loch, lightsabers at the ready. That's the kind of heroism we're talking about here.
That's absolutely right. Yeah, Adrian Shine's got to be Obi-Wan, surely.
He'd have to be Obi-Wan. Yeah,
he has to be.
Yeah.
And Dick Rayner. Oh, I don't know who would be Han Solo. This is going to be our next project. We need to draw. I'm going to ask Cole to draw.
Who Han Solo's going to be? There's going to be a lot of arguments, obviously.
I'll be Chewbacca. I'm the big hairy guy. Oh
no, I can't be Chewbacca. I'd have to be one of the hairless ones.
The hairless ones?
No, I mean facial hair. That's about all the hair I've got. My body hates hair. I was lucky to grow this, even. You see, there's nothing grows there.
Oh, really?
I didn't have any facial hair until I was 28, I think.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I'm not a very hairy person. My body hates hair, actually. I'm thinking my body actually hates hair. It's actively working against hair. My body, my own body is actually fighting off the hair. Doesn't even want to grow a beard. And then this is about 6 weeks growth.
Oh, wow.
And now it's all grey and stuff, and it just like everybody says, just shave it off. You're not fooling anybody. That's not a beard.
Well, I was ginger. My beard was ginger. I'm not ginger. I'm solids. It's not grey. I think we had this discussion.
Yeah, we did. I think we talked about it.
We call it Arctic blonde. That's what it is.
Arctic blonde. Oh, okay.
Arctic blonde. That's the way
same as tobacco blonde.
You're grey as hell. That's it.
Oh gosh, I think this is a Celtic thing though as well. The greys, the early greys. That's a Celtic gene. My father was grey at like 20 or something.
Yeah, it was great. Late 20s. I went grey.
Well, there you go. My brother is full. I mean, he's got all his hair, so we can see he's fully grey. Mine is hidden in the shaved bonds, which doesn't have a caftan. Just as a catch up after the summer, after our last interview, I escaped the caftan this summer, so I'm happy about that. Alan, it's always amazing to speak to you. I think you guys are going to do it. You're going to find it, and I only hope to be there on one of the months when it happens. And if I'm not,
honestly, pick it back anytime you
want. Remember, I was your friend at the beginning. Just remember that. I believed in you.
You do, and that means a great deal to me as well, man. And that's why I was saying to you, it's I love talking to you. I've said that to many people.
Vice versa, yeah.
It's been good, and I love that we always mention some sort of film from the 80s.
Yes.
Last time it was Highlander, and it was the Goonies. So
Chester Copperpot. Yeah.
And then Andy, I've just realised her name is Andy as well. Oh my god,
her name is Andy with an I think.
Oh, sorry.
But that was the biggest bummer for me when I was a kid, actually, because there were no female Andys in the UK, and having like a girl Andy as a central character in a movie, I got a lot of flack over that. I grew up in a rough neighborhood. The Goonies wasn't good times for me.
I don't know why I found that so funny. There's no female Andys in the UK.
There are no female Andys here. We just don't have that.
I will find you a female Andy, okay?
Yeah, like we don't have male Lindsays, do we? My sister is Lindsay, and when I first met male Lindsay from the US, I was kind of like, to run that by me again.
Yeah. We've got this problem in Scotland where I can't say it anyway. Carl. Like it's Carol, like Carol singing Carol, but like Carl Pilkington, Carl can't do it
because of the rolly R.
Yeah, it's really difficult.
Probably hard to roll an R before an L after an A, especially. Carl.
No. See, whoever made the name up should be shot. That's not right for anyone to say.
That's good. That's good. What was I going to say? Yeah, I guess we should finish it here because it could be amazing, and I feel more movie references popping up in the moment. Yeah. So I think you guys are going to find it. I think everybody should just go and have a look. At least have a look at what Loch Ness exploration.
It's fun.
And there's no fee to join. There's nothing. Just hop on. You can be a part of. You can rock up and go on one of the expeditions on that day.
Yeah. Like
if you find Nessie, you get to keep it, right? That's the rule.
Exactly. As long as you put Alan McKenna, Loch Ness exploration. No, I'm joking. Of course not. If you ever came up with us, or anyone came up with us, and you caught the glimpse, you don't even need to say that you're being with us, but the fact that we've inspired you to come up, I'm happy. I'm happy with that.
At least say they were with the group. Don't run away, and forget all your old friends. Alan, thank you so much for coming on. A pleasure as always, and I look forward to seeing you guys at the Loch in the near future.
Cheers, Andy. Lovely speaking to you, man.
Bye.
Have a good one, dude. Cheers.